I'm Donna Devane, station owner here at the Awakened Radio Network. I'd like to take a few moments to thank you. Our station and our growth, our global reach, is due in part, a large part, to you, our listeners. So thank you so much for listening to us. Whether you listen live on our website at awakenedradio.net or through TuneIn or iTunes or a variety of other availabilities for joining us at our station, I want to let you know I really do appreciate you. And our hosts, all the wonderful hosts here at Awakened Radio, appreciate you too. And we'd like to give you an invitation to take a more meaningful part with what we're doing at Awakened Radio. Join us on our website, awakenedradio.net. Look at the top under the pretty picture, and that's our nav bar, our navigation bar. Click Awakened Radio tabs. How party. Check us out. Find out about our host. Find out about our forums. Communicate with your favorite host. Give her some feedback. Give him some feedback. We love hearing from our listeners. Be sure while you're at our website to check out our Awakened store. We have handcrafted Native American style dream catchers, healing gemstone jewelry, stones, crystals, medicine bags, smudge kits, sun catchers, hair feathers, signed autographed copies of my books. We also have opportunities for you to work one-on-one with myself, Ingrid Geronimo, and Rob Ragazine. We offer many ways for you to be part of our station. You can host a show, you can sponsor a show, you can advertise with us, you can help us get the word out, you can make a donation to make sure that our growth continues. Again, thank you so much for being part of the Awakened Radio family. That's what you are to us, family. Thank you so much for sharing our links, for word of mouth, telling your friends. Hey, join us on Facebook. Look up the Awakened Radio fan page. Like us and share us. I'm doing some random giveaways for people who like us on Facebook. Thank you so much. I love you. And as always, I want to remind you to love yourself well. Peace.
Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Pernilla Lillerose, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world.
Well, if I think what the times, I don't know what happened there, a little glitch, but either way, welcome everyone to Evolutionary Women Radio. This is your host, Pernilla Lillerose, on a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday morning here in California where I live. Very blessed to be here in a little town called Santa Cruz where, I meet so many what I call evolutionary women and men here. We live in a hub that I think is a little unusual in the whole world. And sometimes, because I'm so surrounded by so many people who are awake, who are evolutionary beings, who have stepped into the new paradigm or are stepping into it, sometimes I forget that there is a world out there where that's not happening yet. And, when you just live with that, it becomes natural and you kind of expect it to be like that. I can have a conversation about consciousness, about God, about the new paradigm. I can have a conversation with almost anybody here on my little street. We're all in on it, more or less. It's just what is going on here. And my wish is that it's going to spread so that everybody can just live in this natural state that we are, and that we can share that with each other, that we don't need to be ashamed of it or think we're weird or different. And one of the reasons that I love to have this radio broadcast every week is to normalize it, to talk about it in a way so that you can see that, oh, this is happening. This is not just you. You're not different. Even though you may live in a neighborhood or a town or a country where the people you know are not resonating with this, please know that you can trust what you're feeling. You can trust your experiences. They're real. You can't take anybody's experience away from you, but you can doubt it. You can turn away from it. And actually, I think that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about today in a moment. But I just want to encourage you to trust and listen to your own experience, especially when it starts expressing itself or showing up in your heart, in your mind, in your being, in a different way than what your surroundings are living or believing in. We are moving into a new way of being. We actually have moved into it. I've talked about this. I always talk about this because this seems to be my thing. We are in the new energies. If you look at it astrologically, I've had a few reports from some people. It seems like we have already made a shift somewhere. It's just that we are so conditioned to believing in the way we have lived. It's as if we want to carry the old with us into the new. But you know what? It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. We have to be willing to take off the old garment of the old energies, of the old paradigm. And it may mean that we're going to be naked emotionally and spiritually and mentally naked for a while because we don't quite know what to do now. You know, I've taken off the cloak, but I don't know what to do now. It's all new. I have no new garment waiting for me yet. So what do I do now? And then there is, of course, the tendency to go back and put on the old cloak because that's what we know so well. But in the long run, you are going to take it off again and again and again until you're willing to be completely vulnerable and emotionally, mentally, spiritually naked and find out, okay, what now? I'm willing to learn. What now? And that is a place we have to step into at some point, unless we want to hold on for dear life to the old paradigm. But there's really not much to hold on to. It's like a wave. You know, when a wave comes into shore, then it kind of, the water starts going back into the ocean again. And that's the metaphor that I've been using for the old paradigm, that wave is on its way out. It's just dissolving back into the ocean as pure consciousness, as pure water, as pure love, call it whatever you want. But it doesn't have the shape, the form, the power of the wave that we knew when it came in. So if you're trying to hold on to this old wave, you're simply moving back out. You're not moving into the new paradigm on the new wave. And you might be feeling pretty lost out there in the ocean because there's really nothing to hold on to because the old wave is dissolving. So my invitation to you and my encouragement is to take the risk, to just be brave, be willing to try something new. So there you have it. So again, welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio. I would love to hear from you. If you are so inclined, please go to the live chat room here on Awakened Radio. and just introduce yourself. Just say hi, how are you doing? And I'll do my best to say hi back to you. And if you have a question, a comment, I would love to hear from you. And of course, you can always call in if you have any questions or if you want to share something that's in your heart as it relates to what we're talking about here. The number to call in is 334-649-7204. So please call in, let me know who you are, and share your heart, share your vision, share your love. That's what we like to do here. You can always find more about me also if you go to the forum on the Awakened Radio. And I post there every week. So if you want to communicate with me that way, I would love to be part of your world, and you can be part of mine, and we can begin sharing our wisdom together. That's kind of the fun part of it. So my friends, today I want to talk about what I call the global impact of self-love. And it's a huge subject in a way. It sounds like, well, how can self-love have a global impact? How can little me doing nice things for myself, such as maybe, sometimes we think self-love means making a nice meal, taking a nice bath, going for a stroll, taking time out. And that is all part of it. And it's something we all need to learn to do more of, self-care and slowing down and get off the hamster wheel. But it's a lot more. Self-love is a lot more than just doing nice things for yourself. To me, self-love is being willing to fully listen to your heart, to your wisdom, to your being, to what you know is true, what matters to you, and really start turning your attention 180 degrees back to yourself. And as I'm saying that, I'm thinking it's really not different than waking up to who you are. For some strange reason, this whole self-love business seems to be my thing. You just, when you start sharing something in your heart, it starts growing, and it becomes like an energy of expression that has its own life. And that's how I'm experiencing this. It's not something I sit down and decide, today I want to talk about self-love. And then I start thinking about, well, what shall I say about it? It's more just an energy that will not leave me alone. And it's actually pretty cool. I can tell you that it's not a bad energy to be stuck with, this whole concept and expression of self-love. But it's not always easy. It has not always been part of who I am. And today I want to share a little bit about how I actually got here. I wasn't born into a family where I learned the importance of self-love. I was born into a family where I doubted myself a lot. And I always felt I was wrong. I was bad. I was doing the wrong thing. And this is by no means to blame my parents. That is not what I'm trying to tell you here. I'm just sharing what my experience was when I came into this life. And I can say that self-doubt was basically my middle name. I doubted everything about myself. I had never gotten that foundation when I grew up, where I was told, you're doing great, where I felt acknowledged or supported, for being me. It was more about I was told what I should do. And if I didn't, then I got in trouble. So I learned very young to ignore my own feelings, my own values, my own experience, and start doing what others would say, or especially my parents or my father, what he would tell me I should do and what I should think and how I should be. And it just became something I didn't even question. I grew up with that. That was part of my daily food, It was just an energy you just take in all the time. But at the same time, I was very rebellious about it too. So I was both ignoring my own wisdom, my own knowing, my own what things that mattered to me. And I got out of touch with what really did matter to me. But it was a part of me that was rebelling and angry about it. When you get cut off from who you are, from your wisdom, your being, that doesn't feel good. And there is a natural place in us where we are resentful and angry and fight against it. And we fight against usually our parents or some kind of an authority figure that has told us that we should be a certain way. And it can be a religious figure, it can be really anything. You might have had great parents, but maybe you went to church and that's where you were told that what you believed in wasn't true, or you couldn't express your experience because it didn't fit into what they were telling you. So in that way, you learn to suppress your own knowing and your own being. And that, of course, is something we bring with us for a long time until we learn to start listening to ourselves again and taking ourselves more seriously. So this is how I grew up. And what also happened while I grew up was that for some reason, I had a deep yearning for God. And I don't really know why, because I didn't grow up in any kind of religion, or there was no spirituality, no church, nothing really. But inside of me, there was simply a yearning to be an instrument for the divine. It was just there. I remember as a little girl, I would just pray, please make me an instrument for love, for light. And it felt very sweet and innocent. And at the same time, I was just doubting everything about myself. So here, many years later, when I was in my late 20s, I had my first real awakening. And I know awakening is kind of a buzzword for a lot of people, and it's almost like, yeah, right, But the truth is, we all have certain awakenings as we grow up, or that's maybe not true. At some point, we have certain things that shift our consciousness, and where we suddenly start realizing something that is outside of the mind and that can completely change our life. So I had one of those big ones. I had some other things happening when I was a little girl, but I don't want to get into that. I want to talk about what happened in my late 20s, because that kind of set the tone for the work that I'm doing now, and that is the whole teaching and the whole invitation for everyone to start learning to love themselves and what that means and how to do that. So what happened when I was, I think I was 27 or something, I read a book by a man called Joel Goldsmith, and the book was called, Practicing the Presence. And I started according to how he said to do it. You would sit down and he would suggest a Bible quotation, and you would just sit with that quotation and basically just say it, and then be open and receptive to what that statement would do, or how it would present itself. So I did that for a while, and then one day I had like opening what I would call into the divine, where I was just being totally flooded with love. And all I could do was fall on my knees, and I would just say, Thank you. Thank you. There was the whole it was gratitude, love. It was all the same thing. It was just this total flooding of my being with love divine. And I was just saying thank you. And then I said, please don't ever let me stray away from you again. And what had happened there, of course, was what I had been praying for since I was a little girl. And I was given this experience that lasted for, I would say, 2 or 3 months, where I lived in this pure state of love, of being, of full acceptance of everything and everyone, including myself. It felt like I was holding my being like a baby or something in my arms, but there was no baby and there was no holding. It was just all of myself, but there was this full embrace of just being love and being loved all at the same time. And I remember that there were some people that would just come up to me. They just kind of wanted to be close to me because I'm sure they felt that shift that had happened. And then I was just beaming love. And I realized that I am love. There is only love. And I didn't understand it all back then by any means. This is later where I started understanding it more. But there was just love. There was really nothing else about me. There was just love. And anyway, so I was really enjoying this for many months, and I would just walk around in this state of bliss almost, and seeing love or God everywhere. It was beautiful. And I would sit in this cafe a couple of times a week to drink a cappuccino after I'd been going to a dance class. And then one day something happened in that cafe where there was a person who came up to me, and he asked me some things about directions. And I was still living in Denmark in those days. And this was a person who actually lived in California. So he asked me for directions, and I told him where he could go. And then he asked if he could join me at my table. So I said sure. And I kind of put my book away. I was reading one of Joel Goldsmith's book there because I just loved reading it and feeling it and seeing it all around me. So he said, what are you reading? So I showed him the book, and then we started talking about God, and he was very much into the Bible. So we had a nice conversation. And then it was getting late, so I said, okay, I want to go home now. So I was going to say goodbye. And then he says, I don't have a place to stay tonight. Can I stay at your home? And of course, the first thing that happened inside of me was like, no, I don't know this person, and I only have a small apartment, and I was not at all moved to invite me into my home. So I said no, and that was the first initial where I listened to myself. And then this person, he said, well, it's not your home, it's God's home. And because I was in such a state of innocence, of openness, of knowing that there is only love, there is only God, what he said was true. It was absolutely true. It's not my home, it's God's home. And I knew that. So it was not like he was telling me something that was not true. I knew that space I was in, it was obvious. But this is what happened. What I was not conscious of back then was that the no that I felt inside of me was just as much God as my home, as everything else. So I didn't know that back then. I did not have that full embodiment of knowing who I am, and that the flow of who I am informs me what to do every moment. What is a yes? What is a no? What is a stay? What is a go? I didn't have that. I didn't have that discernment. And as you understand from what I just shared with you, because I grew up in that environment where I never learned to trust myself. Or when I said no to my dad, it was completely, overwritten by his yes. So I did not have that muscle in me to say no and then really trust that. So to make a long story short, because it was a long story and it was horrific. I'm not going to go into details here, but it was the bottom line of this. What I want you to get here is that I did not listen to the no in my heart. So instead, I believed this person more than me. So I ended up saying yes. And it took me 5 months of absolute hell to get this person out of my life, out of my apartment. And bless his heart, he was there for a reason, for me to learn to discern. Because the reason I said yes was really my own lack of discernment. You can never really blame anybody. You can only learn and get stronger in who you are. So it took me that time, and it was absolutely horrific because I just didn't trust my own knowing. I even started doubting the beautiful, beautiful spiritual opening that had happened. And I just kind of squashed it. So I ended up getting rid of him finally with help from a spiritual teacher here in America, in California, and who was a student of Joe Goldsmith. Because Joe Goldsmith, the teacher that I read the book from, he had passed away in the 60s, so I never met him. But I was with this other teacher. I went to California, and I needed some help. I needed to understand this whole awakening business and embodying it, although I didn't use those words back then. But what basically happened was that I had this beautiful opening into love, realizing that there is only love. I am love. And then what I did was cut myself off. I was not loving the no that my body was telling me, and it got me into a lot of trouble. So that was the incident that sparked what I'm doing now. Learning self-love, learning to listen to ourselves and to trust ourselves is a huge part of the waking up, quote unquote, business, or the embodiment of it. And I know there are a lot of people, there might be a lot of the listeners here who have woken up or who have had awakening experiences in your life. But until we learn to embody it, to live it in every area of our lives, it doesn't do a lot of good. Because the 5 months and the several years after that I went through after my awakening, it didn't do anybody much good, specifically not myself, because I cut off. I was the one who cut off this flow of divine love, this flow of divine presence that people could feel just by being around me. I didn't have to do anything. It was just emanating, radiating from me. And it affected people. It really did. Until I cut it off, you see. And once I cut it off and went into self-doubt and darkness and not trusting myself, nobody was benefiting. People could not feel that glow that had been there before. And that's where I really want to get to here. That's why I say the global impact of self-love. If I knew back then what I know now, I would have listened to this no. I would have stayed present in this space of love, of radiant love. And I could bring love to my surroundings, to the world. And what I did instead was shut it down and go into a deep place of fear and self-doubt. So if you can just look at that, and you might consider something in your own life where you are not listening to something inside of you that you know is true, and that you're actually giving away your power to somebody else who disagrees with you. So let's just have that as a little thing to think about as we're going on the break. And then when we're going to come back, I invite you to chat in or call in, and we can maybe have a little conversation about it. But in the meantime, let's just have a little break, and then we will be back right away.
Awakened Radio is brought to you by our listeners. Those of you who enjoy our wide range of topic and our wide range of listenership. We really do cover the globe with thought and geographic location. Thank you so much for taking part, for coming over and joining us in our chat room, and for clicking that donate button while you're there. We appreciate your contributions. They are what has helped us to grow and will help us to grow even more. While you're at our website, please visit our Awakened store. Take part in our forum conversations. Check out all of the pages at awakenedradio.net. Get to know us. You'll like us. We're really a friendly bunch. Thank you for helping make Awakened Radio possible.
Welcome back to Evolutionary Women Radio, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Thank you for joining and listening. This is your host, Pernilla Little-Rose, and this show is brought to you by Women Standing for Love. Welcome back. Yes, welcome back to Evolutionary Women Radio. This is Pernilla Little-Rose. And before we continue, let me just share with you, if you would like to continue or learn more about what I do, you can always go to one of my websites. The main one is lillarose.com. That's spelled LILLAROSE.com. And here you can also find in the menu bar, you can go to the radio show. There is something called Women Standing for Love. And I do encourage you to go to that website, which you can also go to directly by putting in womenstandingforlove.com. And this is also an expression that has been coming through here to help women gather together in smaller circles and start supporting each other in trusting ourselves, in trusting the wisdom that we know in our heart is here to express itself. But, because I know this so well for myself, this self-doubt, and how incredibly powerful and supportive it is to be in a circle of women who really have supported me in trusting myself deeper and deeper. Specifically, every time you're standing at a cliff or at an edge where you go, oh my gosh, I've come to the edge of this old way of being, and I know there is something new that wants to happen. I can feel it. I can sense it. It's giving me energy, but I'm afraid to jump, to take this leap, because I don't see it anywhere manifested yet. So that's where we hold back and we start going back. Like I said, then we start grasping for the old cloak from the old paradigm because we're afraid to take the leap. But if you are with other like-visioned or like-hearted women, and men too, but I think it's good to be with other women for a while because we know and understand each other so well. We understand each other's doubts. We understand how we've been holding ourselves back, how we have been trying to accommodate others in order to be liked and loved. So when we are with a circle of women where we're all committed to supporting each other in becoming fully who we are, waking up to who we are and living it and embodying it. So that's kind of what's behind Women Standing for Love. And so I do encourage you to go and check that out and see if there's anything that resonates with you there and if you want to be more connected. If you live in the Bay Area near Santa Cruz, I'm actually having a talk tonight. The subject is the global impact of self-love. Surprise, surprise. And I really invite you to come and share that with me and other women and men. This is actually for everyone. And so we can start talking about, understanding it deeper, and we can do some exercises. And I have a few things planned for tonight where I'm going to talk about this same subject. So if you're in the area, please join in, and might be a good place to connect with other people who want to do the same, because it's very much about connecting these days. And the reason is, we want to connect back to our heart, and we want to start trusting it. That's simply what I wish for everyone, and including myself, because I've done my work here. And it's an ongoing process. I don't know if it's ever going to be over, but it sure gets easier. It gets easier and easier every time I choose to listen to my heart and act on it. Some energy is freed up. It feels like when I do that, I open up the portal of love so it can ooze into the world, into the place where there seems to be a lack of love. So here I'm talking about, right, my awakening experience, where I see that there is only love. I am love. There is only love. So what is all this other stuff, you might ask, that does not look or feel like love? Well, this is how I started making sense of it after I had that experience. Years later, I figured it out. There is conscious love, and then there is unconscious love. So if you see something that looks like it is not love, just call it unconscious love. It is love, but it's kind of frozen into a form that looks like anything other than love. But what this form or situation really needs is love. And I want to take it back to ourselves again. I know a lot of us really want to make a difference in the world, and I'm all for that, trust me. The reason I'm doing what I'm doing is because I want to bring this message to the world so people can start waking up to who they are and start embodying the love and expressing the love. And that's because I want to live in a world where we are love. That's the reason I want to make a difference in the world, because I want to live in a world where we love each other. It's simply more fun. It's more enjoyable. So let's take it back to ourselves about self-love. If you are not, so let me just see what I was going to say here. If there's an area in you, a part of you, that you are not loving, that means that in this wholeness of love, there you are love. Just if you see yourself for a moment, you can imagine yourself as your body, and then just know for a moment that this is love. There is nothing about you that is not love. It may be unconscious love, but you are still love. And when I deny myself love in any area of my life, I am cutting off the expression of who I am. So let me say that again. If you cut off any part of yourself, if you deny any part of yourself love, it's as if you are contracting around it. This love that is just vibrant and full, just imagine that energetically you contract around it, and it kind of shrivels in, and it starts taking a form that does not look like this expansive, conscious love. But it is still love, because love is all there is. And I can say that confidently now because I did have that realization, even though it took me quite a while to start embodying it. And I'm not fully embodying it at all, but every day more and more. So it's not about being perfection, because if I thought I needed to be perfect, then I was not loving myself if I'm not fully perfect yet, right? I need to also include the parts that don't know that they are loved. They need to be included so they can also expand into its fullness. So here we are contracting around a part of ourselves. We are denying ourselves love. And if you imagine yourself as, let's just imagine yourself as if you're a hose, a water hose, a garden hose, where water is running through all the time when the faucet is open, right? And this water, we can use the metaphor of love. So there is an open water hose where the faucet is open and love just flows through all the time, and it just waters everything in your life. So, but now you notice that this water hose, there is an area that you don't like. So you contract around it. You tighten up because you want to get rid of it. You don't think it deserves to be loved. So suddenly this water hose that is open and flowing with love, filling your life with everything you need, now you actually make a kink in it. You tighten it up. And you might even tear a piece out so there is a hole in the hose because there is a part there that you didn't like. And that piece or that part, my friend, could be anything in your life. It could be your body. It could be your job. It could be your emotions. It could be any emotion that you do not like, that you want to get rid of. It can be your hair. It can be your cheeks, your eyes, it can be any part of your body that when you look at it, you go, yuck. You just don't want it. And when you look in the mirror, you have this, yikes, I don't like myself. That is exactly where you put a kink in the hose. And when you put a kink in the hose, the love cannot flow into your life. It's blocked. Literally, if you put a kink in a water hose, you know there is not much water coming out. Maybe a drop, depending on how tight you contract around it. But this is how we block the natural flow of who we are. You see, it's not like there is love or water coming from somewhere outside of you. You are the water. You are the love. And you are the one who needs to keep your hose open by loving. See, what's coming through the hose, what's coming through and from you is love. And this love needs to have free access to every area in your life. When you don't let it come through, it starts drying up. It might dry up as you don't have money, you don't have friends, you don't have this, you feel you're lacking, you don't have access to good food. It's simply because somewhere along your hose, there is a kink. It cannot get through, so it dries up. And then you try, what we do then, all of us, we go out into the world and try to get it out there. We try to get love because we are denying ourselves love. So we go out in the world and try to get love. Or we don't like the way we look, so we may go out in the world, or we may start using who knows what, makeup, facials, all kind of deconstructions or misconstructions, whatever it's called, on your body. It's probably not the right word, but we do things to our body so that when we go out into the world, we are hoping that somebody is going to like us, love us, the way we have turned ourselves into, because we don't know how to love ourselves. We have cut off the supply, the natural supply of love that we are to any specific area in our lives. And that's where we start lacking. That's when we start feeling unhappy and depressed, sad, angry, afraid, because we are not allowing the love to flow into those areas. Yeah, there's a lot here. Take a breath for a moment and just look at, what specific area in your life do you see is lacking your love? And like I said, there is only love. So it's by you, by me, by anybody withholding that love for yourself that you are cutting off the fulfillment of your life that you could be living if you didn't deny yourself love. And then by denying yourself the love, you go out into the world trying to get it. And this is how we get into conflict, because we think we need to go out there to get something that is really not available. You might get it for a short while, you might get love, but if you're not loving yourself, there's a very good chance that outer source that you found is going to dry out, because ultimately we are the ones who need to bring to our life what it is that we want, what makes us happy, what our heart longs for. When you start loving the kinks in your life, right? When you bring conscious love to an unconscious love in your life where you deny love, that's what I call unconscious love. So if you consciously bring love to a part that is unconscious, to a part that you are denying love, you open up the kink. And then love can start flowing into your life naturally. You will start feeling loved again. So that when you, from the inside, you will not need to go out into the world to try and get it. You naturally bring the love there. You can see the difference, right? Instead of going out, coming from a place of lack, you go out there and you want something. And that's why many people, they will cheat and steal and get into conflict, even wars, or specifically wars, because they want something from the world that they are denying themselves inside. That's really it. That's it in a nutshell. If you can really get that, you will do anything you can to start loving yourself again, to be kind to yourself, and to start taking what matters to you seriously. When you catch yourself being critical or judgmental or something that doesn't feel good, if you start catching yourself doing that to yourself, you can stop in that moment and realize, oh my God, what I'm doing right now is blocking my flow. I'm blocking the flow of love that I am by criticizing, by judging, by putting myself down, whatever I'm doing to myself. That's your kink. That's when you cut off the hose. And the hose will always be overflowing with love, with water. We're using a metaphor here. And fill up our lives with love. And that love can show up in any way. It can be, a beautiful home, a job that you love, a partner, friendship, camaraderie, community, good food, something that is good for you. These things will come naturally. And I know for a lot of us, it's still a far-fetched because we don't see it out there. We are looking for the proof of that out in the world. And until we see it out there, there is a tendency to hold it back because we are afraid that we're going to be taken advantage of if we just bring love. Because we've all been through that. We have all been taken advantage of. So there is a phase that we're going through right now where we need to learn to be true to ourselves, love ourselves, and then in that we will naturally give. However, there is a very important piece here, and that's the part that I missed back when I had that first awakening. That is when you feel a clear no in your body, in your heart. That is part of the love flow. You see, that's the piece that I missed that put me through a hell ride. It was horrific. If I knew what I'm sharing with you now, I wouldn't have had to go through that. But that was, that was an experience that has turned into a big, big gift. Because now I have learned to be that for myself. And I've learned to help other people become that for themselves. So here we are. We are love. If we deny love to any part of ourselves, we cut off the natural flow of love that will fill our life. When we do that, we're going to go out into the world trying to get it. But you cannot get it. You can only be it because you are it. You cannot get love out there. You can certainly experience it. I'm not saying that you won't experience love in the world. You'll experience a lot of it. And even more so when you keep bringing it to yourself. You see, when I had that awakening, it was given to me. I didn't do it. It was given to me, that love. The realization was given to me. And people could feel that. In those 3 months or so, I was not blocking the flow. I actually couldn't because it was like a tsunami of love coming through me. I couldn't have blocked it. But when that circumstance in my life happened, where I had that encounter with that person, the doubt was stronger than the love. And that was where I cut the love off. I'm probably saying this wrong. It's not like the doubt was stronger than the love or bigger. It was my interpretation of it. It was my belief in the doubt that was stronger than my belief or the experience of the love. So as you know, it always comes back to ourselves. And if you can start seeing where in your life you are withholding love from yourself, and then do whatever you can do to bring love to that part that you're denying love, then you're on your way. This is something that I love to do, both with myself. I mean, this is how I live to the best of my ability. There are certainly times where I might forget or I can't quite get to it. But you see, what I do, if I have a problem where I can't get in touch with the love, I have my friends, I have my circle of women, and now I'm actually also in a new circle where there are both men and women, where there's a deep, deep support in fully embodying that, where we're going to support each other in fully embodying the love, the God consciousness that we are. So I know where to go if I feel lost, and I have learned to love myself enough that it's okay to go and ask for help when I need it. And that has been an essential part in my life, to really feel the support from friends, from circles, from situations I've been in, to really start putting it out when I need something and then learn to receive it. It's very, very powerful. So what I want to offer you, if this is something that speaks to you, please go to my website and check out what it is that I'm offering. You can read. There's a lot of reading material. Sometimes it's too much. If you don't want to do that, I want to offer you at least to go to my website, which is LillaRose.com, spelled LILLAROSE. And then go to the sidebar, or at the bottom, at the bottom of one of the pages, where I'm offering a free discovery session. And you can just sign up for that. It's a 30-minute free discovery session where we set up a time and where we find out where you are in your life right now and where you want to be. What is getting in your way of living the life that you long for, that you know inside of your heart is what you came here for. And what we'll do together is find out what is getting in your way. What is blocking you from moving from where you are now to where you want to be? And then from there, we can decide if you want to do some more work with me, because that's what I do. That's what I love to do, is help anybody to get in touch with their heart and start living it and move through the obstacles that are standing in the way. I just want to finish up here with a Rumi quote, which is one that I always felt has described my work so well. Rumi, the poet Rumi, he says, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers inside of yourself that you have built against it." And that's basically what we do. We seek and find all the barriers inside of yourself. Just like I had to seek and find all the barriers inside of myself that I had built against love. And then by dissolving these barriers with love, the portals open, the hose opens, and it can start watering the garden and fulfilling more and more areas of our life so that we are at one with love in any area of our life. It's not just a concept. It becomes a lived reality. And that's what I wish for me, for you, for everyone. And can you imagine what life is like if we all start loving all of ourselves? If we really start bringing conscious love to any area inside that we're not loving, can you imagine a world we can live in like that? Do you think that will have a global impact? If you and I learn to fully love and embody love inside of ourselves? I do believe so, because I see it in my own life. I see it with those who do that. I see it with those who are willing to start loving themselves and start dissolving these barriers that are blocking the flow of love into our lives and into the world. So please go to LillaRose.com, spelled LILLAROSE.com. And I also invite you to go to WomenStandingForLove.com. And this is a place where you can start connecting with other women and maybe start getting into circles with women who have the same vision, the same yearning, the same longing. Get into smaller circles or find somebody in your neighborhood, in your community, and just start getting together and find out, well, what is it that we want and how can we best support each other? So, you can either work with me as a coach or a therapist, or you can find somebody else in your area, or you can get together in groups. I think the most important thing is that we really start taking that step. All right, my friends, it's been wonderful to be with you today, and I look forward to being with you again next week. Sending you many blessings. Thank you.